The psychedelic revolution is here. If you want to integrate your visionary experiences into your purpose, get clear on your entrepreneurial path, and help people while you do what you love, then this podcast is for you. Welcome to The Psychedelic Entrepreneur, Medicine for These Times. I'm your host, Beth Weinstein. I'm a spiritual business coach, 3-time entrepreneur, and a lifelong student of psychedelics and sacred plant medicines. You carry your own unique medicine, and your medicine is what we need for these times. This podcast will help you to share your medicine so you can create transformation in the world. Listen in on conversations with psychedelic leaders, changemakers, and conscious entrepreneurs who are living proof that a better world is possible when you follow your heart and live in alignment with your soul. Hello there, and welcome back to Medicine for These Times. I am, first of all, so honored that you're here. And just a quick reminder to sign up for my email community by downloading one of my 2 free gifts that you see right here in the show notes. Or you can go to my website, and on the right-hand corner, you'll see the free gifts button. I encourage you to sign up for email because we cannot depend on social media anymore. We never could, and now it's just even more real. Facebook has removed my Facebook group once again, censored twice in the last 1 year. It is what it is. Anyways, today I am going to be talking about Iboga, or otherwise known as Iboga. I call it Iboga now. I used to call it Iboga. And I am sharing on this episode that I, in about 10 days from now, 12 days from now, will be partaking in my first ever Iboga journey in a week-long retreat with some hopefully very good facilitators. And I want to share my story about this. So, because I think it might be helpful for some of you who have been considering this medicine as long as I have. I had first heard about Iboga in 2012. I was out in London with a friend of mine, and his friend, who I'm still in touch with, used to actually serve this medicine. And he was the first person to tell me about it back in 2012. And of course, I had already worked with a lot of other medicines, but I had never heard of this. And I will never forget what he said to me. He said it's usually typically these 2 ceremonies held over a week or something similar to a week, 5 days maybe. But traditionally, I've heard it being served over a week, 2 ceremonies in a week. And of course, I was told, like, it's very hard. I don't remember the details of what he said about it being hard, but I don't know if it's actually going to be that hard. We'll see. I've definitely had some very hard psychedelic experiences with, let's say, ayahuasca or even mushrooms, bufo. I'm trying to think what else. Cannabis, pretty much everything. But yeah, I do remember him saying this. He said, well, in the first ceremony, it basically just cleanses your karma. And the second one, it tells you what to go do with your life. And I remember being like, wow, that sounds very enticing. I want something to just tell me what to do with my life. How does this sacred plant, this root from Africa, how does it know how to tell me what to do with my life, right? How does it know to do that? That was the way he described it. Of course, many years it's been since 2012 that I've learned a lot more about it. I have been told that it's very much the medicine of truth. And, on some level, I think for people who are looking for what to do with their lives, maybe it does show them that. I've also had that with ayahuasca and other medicines as well. And, take everything with a grain of salt, because only you, which I do believe these medicines help us reveal our true selves, but it's all already inside of us anyways. I think what I've witnessed over the years is that people are just in denial or doubt or, something else in the way of allowing them to accept who they really are and what they want to go do with their lives. That's what I have been doing for the past 10 years with my coaching clients. I help people go do what they really want to be doing with the rest of their lives. So anyways, back to the Iboga story. So this old friend of mine, Peter, had shared with me a lot of details about things that the Iboga had showed him. And of course, some of this was pretty intense and pretty scary, and some was really beautiful. And that was 2012. And I remember just the seeds being planted with like, oh, maybe one day I'll go do that. Okay, cool. I do remember him also saying, since he had done Iboga, he was like not into ayahuasca at all. I mean, I remember him literally saying ayahuasca is a trickster, which, I believe all these medicines are a little trickstery, but who knows? We'll find out. Maybe not Iboga. So anyways, that was 2012. It's now 2026, and it's been a while. I have been back and forth with this medicine for that many years, meaning there have been many, many, many times I have come so close to doing it, would be really set on doing it, and then really question my intention. Like, okay, why do I feel like I need to go do this? Then there was also an awareness of the level of integration needed for this kind of journey. That was one thing. I mean, I've done master plant dietas in the jungle, which are just absolutely beautiful. I've been on some big retreats. They're almost like a dieta, but a little less strict. Even Vipassana, doing extended meditation retreats. From my experience, there needs to be a really good amount of space in order to properly integrate it. And I know because I have come back from dietas and gone right into working my butt off, like really hard, actually. And, really witnessing like, wow, did I really give enough space for those plants to integrate as well as they could have? I don't know. So with Iboga, one of the main reasons I had not done it all these years was because I wanted to give it an ample space to truly just integrate and not go back to like running my business, like nonstop as I have been for the last, 9 years straight. So for any of you who've been following me for a while, I've been talking about being on an energetic sabbatical for the last year. It wasn't really a sabbatical. It was the first time in 8 years that I hadn't run my True Path Entrepreneur Group Mastermind program. So that felt like a huge sabbatical because that was like the biggest piece of my business. And it was my baby. And this year, as far as I know, I don't know, maybe in the spring, I might launch it as a shorter program, but I'm not launching it this year either to continue this sabbatical. There are many reasons I've been on this kind of energetic sabbatical. And it's funny because it's not like I am working less. I still have clients. I love my clients. That's the bulk of what I love to do is just work with my clients. The marketing, the podcast, the videos, the workshops, I love them. And sometimes after being nonstop for the past 7 years straight, it's kind of like, wow, I could use a breath. Especially, I was already doing a lot of marketing, but the COVID years, right? 2020 through 24, really just nonstop. I think those of you who work in this industry understand what I mean. And then it was like, okay, maybe we can all come up for a breath now. And it's been fun and amazing. And I'm also at a point in my life where, not to say I don't need to work as hard, but it's definitely gotten easier over the years. And that's one thing I tell all my clients, like when you build your business from the ground up in a proper way with really good systems and investing into your business properly, it gets it set up in a way where it just kind of starts to work for you. Thankfully, I am at that point, and I've been at that point for a couple of years now. So not to say I don't need to do as much, but it's a little like the pressure's off a little bit, which is nice. And I'm very grateful that I knew this at a very young age to just really invest into my business growth so that it had long-term sustainability. So at the end of this energetic sabbatical, I've been kind of contemplating like, well, what do I want to do in the new year? Like what's coming up? And, I've come to a very pivotal point in my life. For anybody that's also been following me, like I had to put my mom in assisted living and sell her house. And that was a big portal that I went through, and just kind of coming in towards the midlife and questioning like, what am I doing? What's next? What do I really want? What is most important to me? And, 7-8 years ago, making money was definitely most important. I mean, it's always been important, but, it was like, okay, I need to pay the bills and I own a house, et cetera, et cetera. But now I'm in just much more of a comfortable place so that I can actually start to question, like, what do I really want? And I think that's something we should all question all the time is what do I really want? And what's next? And I've always been really good at doing that since I was young. So anyways, I had been close to working with Iboga, very close a few years ago, and there was a particular reason I decided not to. Then I was back and forth and back and forth. And then many of us know there was a death at a center, which unfortunately, I would consider myself friendly at least with those facilitators. And, the way the news was delivered to me was actually a little traumatizing for me. I don't want to share it publicly here, but I had heard about it before it went public. And it was a very hard situation for me to process. There was not a lot of information coming out. No one really knew the truth. They weren't coming out into the public. So anyways, it was just like, because of that, death, Iboga, people I trusted, I just wrote it off. I said, you know what? Forget it. I don't need to do this medicine. I could go the rest of my life without it. And that was about a year and a half ago, I think. Yeah, around, I think August of last year, around then. And that was it. I kind of wrote it off. And then suddenly, about 6 months ago, a friend of mine, her husband, who's also a friend of mine, went and did Iboga. And I was actually very shocked. It was like, oh, so-and-so is going to do Iboga. And I'm like, wow, really? Why? Like, he's great. Why does he need this? It was one of those things where I'm like, that's interesting. And I started talking to him about his experience when he came back. And the seeds were planted again. I was going through a lot of questioning, like, what do I want? What's next? There was some things, there's one particular thing in my life that has been a very big mystery, and I can't seem to move this energy. And I've done pretty much everything there is. You can see I'm laughing about it. It's like, it's kind of funny, but it's also like been a little bit painful to figure out like what is going on this one area of my life that I've done every modality there possibly is. I'm in a really good place, just emotionally, like very well processed out in so many ways, like done a lot of healing work my entire life. And this one thing is kind of just like a weird enigma. And there's nothing actually wrong with it. It's just like something is up and I can't get to it. And I remember someone in particular describing ayahuasca that way. A Buddhist practitioner was interviewed a long time ago. And I think I remember who it is, but I don't want to name her name. Because I'm not 100% sure. But I remember her saying, I've done all the things and there was just one thing I couldn't get to, and ayahuasca was the only way. And there is a certain level of these medicines helping us see things that, a lot of these other modalities can't. Yeah, maybe if I had dedicated my life to sitting in meditation for 10 years, possibly, maybe, but I'm of this world. I'm not, a monk. I don't think I'm meant to be a monk. Maybe, who knows? So this is where I believe these medicines can really come in. And, Iboga and Ibogaine, of course, has gained more and more popularity over the years. And I think is becoming more popular as more and more people are coming back with these like profound healings. And not to say these are going to do it, right? But they can. So it was really interesting when my friend had come back and I finally started talking to him about his experience. I had also started working with Hanuman, the deity. Well, I don't know. I guess he would be called a deity, right? The immortal. And it's very interesting. I just really wanted to learn the Hanuman Chalisa, and that was it. It's a beautiful song, Chalisa. And, of course, started working with the actual deity I'm chanting about. And I started noticing a lot of kind of these lightning bolt moments happening in my life during that period, which started about 5 or 6 months ago. And there were a series of really interesting, unusual events that happened, and some very fun and positive, and some kind of like on the, what we would call negative side, like my ankle getting completely dislocated out of the blue, like in a split second for no reason, like taking one step. It was very like a lightning bolt coming in and like, but then some other lightning bolts came in and everything, it was just like, I felt like I kept having these timeline jumps, like jumping, all in the last 6 months. And it's been a very, very profound and deep journey this last 6 months. While on this energetic sabbatical, I also dedicated myself to doing kind of the next level of healing work, which, I'm kind of always doing anyways, but there was a certain level of like, you know what, I'm gonna leave space and not fill this space with just doing things, but leave space to actually like sit in a lot of these feelings. Because I think so many of us out there, and I see this a lot in my clients and other people, we'll do the healing work, but then we don't really leave space to feel it, to integrate it, to be with it. It's like people think going to an integration circle after a ceremony is integration, or they think, a day off after the one, whatever, psychedelic session is integration and that's it. And then they go back to their busy, busy lives. And, I tend to be one of those people where I do a lot of things. Like I have my hands on a lot of different groups and projects and communities, and I enjoy it. And I'm also very good at doing a lot of things at once. But at the same time, I could really feel like, you know what? If I want to work on this one area of life, I think I need to leave it some space. Like I need to really like just sit in, I kept calling it sitting in the boredom, like just really sitting in it, like not doing anything. So I spent a lot of the spring and summer, definitely the summer, just like sitting in it. And it was really freaking uncomfortable. And it was really beautiful at the same time. So back to working with Hanuman, I had these lightning bolt incidents happen. There was like this guy that came in, and that whole thing was kind of unusual and very interesting for me to explore. And then there was just like this one, it was around my birthday, there was this point where I kind of said something to myself about the Iboga. And then suddenly, again, it was like another lightning bolt came in. A friend of mine's like, I think I'm going to go do this, whose husband went and did it. And I was like, okay, when is it? And I was kind of hoping it was like 3 weeks later. I was like, I want to go do it. Let's just do it. Like, let me get this over with, because I've been back and forth on this for so many years. Like definitely very like kind of back and forth serious about it for about 8 years, but I've known about it since 2012, and it's been like in my field. I did actually microdose with it. Was that 2 years ago? About 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago? I did a microdose protocol for about 6 weeks. And wow, I could definitely feel it. I will tell you, here is how that started. Instead of going and looking for the microdose medicine, what I did was I started talking to the spirit of Iboga, which I highly recommend. If you're feeling called to this medicine or any medicine, start by building a relationship with the spirit of the medicine. It actually works. So there was just this one day, I don't remember why, I just decided, you know what? If I'm going to work with this medicine, let me build a relationship with it and start talking to the spirit. So that day, I just opened a conversation with this root plant. It was just kind of like, hey, I want to talk to you and see if this is something I should work with. And then that night, I had a dream that was a very profound, clear, different dream than normal. I have a lot of really amazing, vivid dreams that are, like I pay a lot of attention to. But this one was different. It had a whole different quality to it. It had a different energy, and it was given to me in a different way, where I could very, very much tell that it was the plant speaking to me through that dream. And so that next morning, I talked to someone who I trust, and I said, wow, I just had this dream that was extremely profound. It was giving me clear answers, by the way. It wasn't just a profound dream. It was like showing me something that was super helpful, and I actually like got something out of it where I was like, okay, that makes total sense. And it was just like an instant healing almost. So then I reached out to someone I know and trust who also used to facilitate this medicine, and she said, I never give anybody microdoses unless they work with me. But that dream and, this whole journey that you're on is so profound, I'm going to give it to you. She also knows me very well and trusts me, and etc. So I started microdosing it. I will say this, the little capsule, I could not sleep from one microdose capsule. This medicine is so strong, at least for me. So I had to cut back my microdose from the normal capsule that's, capsule size, like small capsule size, to, I would say, like a 16th of that, tiny, tiny bit, because otherwise I couldn't sleep, even when doing it at 7 a.m. So 7 a.m, 11 p.m., I still couldn't sleep. Wow. And that's when I was like, this is powerful medicine. And so I had worked with it for that 6-week period. It was, I remember it was during the winter solstice time frame. I definitely felt the depths of where it goes and where it could go. I had some profound movement in the work I was doing, in multiple healing modalities. And, I thought that was like, that's good enough. And it was beautiful, and I'm very grateful for it. So, a few months ago, or I guess it was only like a month and a half ago, when this moment came in where my friend said, I'm going to go do this, blah, blah, blah. I'm really scared. I said, you know what? I want to go do it too. I'm totally freaked out. I have honestly never been this scared to go work with a medicine before. And I really get the feeling that I'm not going to die. So I don't really know what I'm afraid of. I mean, there is that chance. But then again, there's a chance of death when you get in your car or cross the street or whatever, just living life. It's not about the fear of death. It's like there's something bigger that's like causing a lot of fear. I'm definitely feeling better about it now. But man, when I said yes and went to sign up for this and was like, I want to go do this, whoa, like the level of fear and like, am I really going to go do this? And there are certain moments where I'm like, wow, am I really going to go do this in about whatever it is, 12 days now? Here is the other thing. And it was, again, just this lightning bolt, like coming in at the right time, at the right moment in my life, like right after this kind of strange portal with this guy like fizzled out right around my birthday, or it was like right after my birthday, right when I was going into a retreat with some of my teachers and doing some really profound family constellation work. That was like, oh my God, like seeing things that I thought I've seen before, and family constellation work, which by the way is one of the most profound modalities I think there is out there. I was like, wow, it's like the Iboga journey. I mean, I think, because it was showing me things that there's no other way to get there. And the day I spoke with the facilitator on a Zoom call or on a phone, Zoom, that night my dreams started changing. Like, it was the same thing that I experienced a few years before, where it was obvious that my dreams were being guided, influenced by whatever it is. The spirit of Iboga was with me. And I have been talking with the spirit of Iboga since, and in this prayer and this conversation, and seeing how she, I was very much told for many years that Iboga is a masculine, like a very father, grandfather spirit. Now I'm hearing otherwise. I'm hearing grandmother. I'm pretty open to both. And it's very interesting because these are, of course, all of us have mothers and fathers, and some deep stuff I'm already working on. So it's like, that's interesting. We'll see. So I've been in conversation with the spirit of this grandmother, Iboga, and asking for guidance and asking for, like my intentions and my prayers. And just, it's amazing how it's already starting to work on me in various ways, including ways that I would put into the category of like not so comfortable. I have lost a friend during this last month and a half, meaning put an end to the friendship. She is still alive and I love her dearly, but it was time for it to just end for various reasons. There's a couple other things ending that are just, it's like it's ran its course. It's not bad, but it's hard. It's change, it's like, deep change. But I think it's necessary. It's kind of like the purge process that all of us who work with some of these medicines that make you purge know about. So yeah, that's what's going on. And I am allowing myself some space without clients for a few weeks. I do still have clients, so this whole sabbatical thing is not actually happening. But, I love my clients. I love working with them. But I am leaving space to just be with this medicine and relax and be in sun and go to one of my favorite countries on earth and just spend time there, going to the beach and chilling out and reading and laying around and exercising and going to yoga and hopefully visiting some friends when I'm there, and some ecstatic dance and chanting, and, when I can be in that energy again, that is. So that's it. I share this for any of you who are curious about this medicine. I don't know what to say. I've been very much on the fence about it, even with other people. There's definitely, this is the one thing with medicines out there in the world right now in general. There is definitely that feeling of people are just like looking for the Amazon Prime effect, as I've been calling it for many years, where it's like, if I can just press a button and get instantly healed and my life gets instantly better, I'll do it. I don't think that's it. I think like with any medicine, maybe it is super powerful. I mean, I've seen that with a lot of these medicines. I've seen people completely change after one bufo ceremony or one ayahuasca ceremony or a dieta or even like a low dose of mushrooms. Yes, it can happen. And, I will call out Katie LaHiggs, who wrote this Facebook post about, we can't put these expectations onto these plants, especially if we don't come at these plants with our prayers, with our intention, and with like deep reverence for their power and really developing that relationship with them as your ally versus, and this is that thing that people always call like colonial mindset. But yeah, like coming at any of these medicines with a mindset of just taking, right? And like, thankfully, I don't feel like I've ever been that way. I think because I was a kid speaking to plants and hanging out with the plants and like building my relationship with plants and animals at a very young age. And they pretty much saved my life at a young age. And, it's always been about that, being in relationship with your intention, with spirit itself, with, the world around you, because it's not just the plant spirit, it's everything. Oh, and one more thing I want to add that just came through. I had been having, I think this is connected to the Iboga. I'm pretty sure. I have no idea. We'll never know. I had been having these pretty much reoccurring dreams I've had these like 2 or 3 thematic dreams reoccurring for the last like year, maybe a little over a year. One of them, it was more like a 6-month journey, and that phased out many months ago. But this other one, it was these dreams about water and mostly ocean, like waves and ocean. And it's very interesting. I am going to be doing this on the ocean, which is amazing and also kind of intense, like a very intense, power, that spirit of, the ocean. She's like probably the most powerful being on earth, right? So it's just really interesting to see the way this medicine and any medicine can really weave into your life. And I've always said, if you're called to a medicine, you really get the call. Like I do believe that, when people are like on these missions to like go just do ayahuasca with anybody they can get to, oh my God, to each their own. But I always tell people, like, start to pray on it. Start to, like, talk to the medicine itself and develop a relationship, and you will be guided to the right place, the right time, with the right facilitators, in the right divine everything, which is how all of my medicine, excuse me, has always come to me. It's always been super synchronistic, landing in my lap at the right time, at the right place, with, thankfully, some of the best facilitators on the world. And I'm not just exaggerating that. I am very, very blessed to have worked with probably the best ayahuasqueras on the planet. And I know that because I have sat with a lot of others that are nowhere near as amazing as they are. And that's just, one medicine. But even all these other medicines I've worked with, I can't even tell you. Thankfully, I've been guided to the best of the best. And that is what I want for you. That's what I want for everybody, is really to be held in your journey in the safest, most profound way possible. This is not about just rushing for the quickest fix, but it's really about like holding a deep prayer for, and not only for your life, but it's always, for me, it's always been about, what am I here to contribute to humanity, to the earth, to the planet at this time? Like, why am I here? It's not about me and the shit that I can buy, or like the nice car I drive. It's like, yeah, those are nice, but like, it's not about that at all. It's like, my soul was here incarnated for some reason, and use me as a vessel. That's all my prayer ever is. And for anything, like my other intention for going there, it's still connected to that. It's like, you know what? This is the one intention I want. It's something I've been praying on. And you know what? Like, whatever's in the highest and best for me to be of service on this planet at this time. And if that means you're choosing this and I want this, okay, so be it. It's like, that's the soul's journey. And, I think on some level there's also it's like, when if you desire something and you can't figure out what's in the way of having it to come to fruition, okay, maybe that's where it's like, get some help, get some support, work with medicines, do the integration work, do the day-to-day work, and that's it. Speaking of which, I have not announced this super publicly, but I do have a new offering that is a 3-month journey, and it is not business coaching. It is called Sunarai, and for any of you who have heard the Ikaro, Sunarai, Sunarai, Sunarai Yadi, Sunarai, Sunarai, Sunarai Yadi, Sunarai, Sunarai, Sunarai Yadi. That is what it's named after. This is a journey home to your quintessence, clarity, and abundance. And it is a 3-month container with me, and it's private, where you get 3 transformational neuro-linguistic programming sessions and guidance to work with plant medicines and flower essences and some other modalities that I weave in to help you clear what's in the way of what you want and what you are coming home to inside of your soul. And this is a very different offering, and I'm really excited because I have barely shared it, and I've already had a bunch of clients sign up for it. And I'm already, I guess, 1.5 months in, maybe 2. Yeah, I'm in month 2 with some people. And so far, it's been very profound. So I will drop that link here. I am not taking anyone until I'm back at the end of February, but you can sign up and I can get you started on some things, but our calls will not be until the end of February. And also be on the lookout. I am offering a new dieta coming very soon that is going to weave in some astrology, and we're going to have special guests, and I am making this very, very accessible. So be on the lookout for that when I'm back from my fake sabbatical. And thank you for listening to this entire episode. Many blessings. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you're feeling inspired, I'd appreciate it if you showed your love with a review. And check out my YouTube channel where you can find the video version of this podcast. You can also head to bethaweinstein.com to learn more about me and grab my free business growth trainings. Remember, you carry your own unique medicine, and your medicine is what we need for these times.